What's up guys, I'm back and I've got another video featuring the Synergy 2CP module. Today we're going to hear what this thing sounds like going into the effects loop return of my Mark VII. And the Mark VII is set to the Mark II C mode and it has the EQ engaged on the amp itself and the EQ on the module is disabled. So that when I run this module, this is controlling the EQ. So in other words, the effects loop, whatever gets sent into the effects loop, can have the EQ sliders engaged. In addition to that, the presence control on whichever channel you are currently set to, the presence control will be engaged, so you can brighten up or darken the top end with the presence control. One other thing worth noting is that the actual channel mode has an impact on the sound, the feel, and the overall output. But for today, just for the comparison's sake, we're going to be running it in the 2C mode. And even though the del verb is up here right now, it's currently off. I'll have chapter timestamps down in the video description so that you can quickly jump to what you want to hear. And when the cable is plugged into the Synergy module, that's what's being used. When it's plugged into the input of the Mesa, then that's what's being used. Okay, let's take a listen to the Synergy first, and it's dialed up pretty spicy. All right, let's switch over. All right, I'm going to play a couple of chords here and then I'm going to edit the video so that it's going right after the other so that there's no prolonged amount of time spent on one or the other and that there's no dead time between the two sounds that you'll hear. So as you can hear, they're not 100% identical, but they're very, very close. And I think part of that is due just to the fact that it's the same power section, it's the same guitar, it's the same speaker, it's the same cabinet, all that stuff. And the only thing that's being altered is the preamp, but because the preamps are essentially voiced on the same thing, there's a very large amount of similarity between the feel, the sound, that very distinct mid-range that the Mark series has. It's all kind of there on both of these. The only trick with getting these two dialed in the same is that obviously this one has two channels and it's got the cascading gain from the normal channel that feeds into that lead channel. And on this amp, it's sort of preset internally and I don't know where it's preset to. So it's kind of just trial and error using the gain on here to try and match what the preamp module has. And in addition to that, we also have the lead bright and the lead shift controls on the module, but not on the amp itself. So again, it's sort of set it on here to where you like it to sound and compare how it sounds on the amp with the same actual EQ knob settings and see where you're landing. And if it's different, then you can, you know, tweak the controls up here to try and get it sounding a little bit similar. But I've found that from my testing, having both the lead bright and the lead shift controls in the up position kind of delivered the most similar sound between the two units. Before we finish though, I want to listen to what this thing sounds like in the other two modes on this channel. Mark IIB mode is much louder, much more open and less compressed, and just punches a little bit harder than the 2C mode. So as you can hear on Mark IV mode, just like if you're actually using the amp channel, it has a bigger, more powerful low end and a little bit more squish in the initial attack, a little bit more compression overall. Now for a slight twist on this video, let's go to the Nitro and see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, I've had to make some pretty dramatic adjustments to the volume here, only because when you're plugging into the loop return on the Nitro, it is running at full steam. And on the Mesa, you have the master volume here that you can use to kind of tame that overall output. So I've got the volume pulled way back compared to running it into the Mark VII. However, the sound is the same. So let's go. Mufasa never loses. Okay, so that was a bit brighter than what it sounded through on the Boogie, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of tweak around on here to see if we can get something a little bit smoother, maybe a little bit more rounded off on the top end, not quite as pokey, and kind of see what we come up with. Oh, and also, if it wasn't obvious, the EQ is back on the module itself, because obviously we're not running through this anymore, so it's got to be on for that. So there we go. It's probably not really translating very well in the recording, but the wall is just shaking over here by this closet where this cabinet is. Like, it's just huge. Let's go ahead and back the resonance on the Nitro all the way down, which the resonance control, if you're not aware, it sort of is a kind of a spongy knob, for lack of a better term. It softens the note attack and kind of makes it a little bit more spongy and a little less bold, but it's a knob instead of just an on-off switch. So a little bit more percussive attack here. All right, well, that was a fun little comparison, and I hope you guys got at least some entertainment, maybe some education, I don't know, whatever, out of this video. But it was fun to run this into the Boogie and compare how a Mark II-C circuit sounds with another Mark II-C circuit in the context of an identical power section being used for both of these, and how it compares to using a completely different power section with the same unit here. Another big shout out to the guys at Zzounds for sending me this unit to try out for a little while. And if you want to grab one, I will have an affiliate link down in the video description so that you can go ahead and get one. And if you don't have anything with the Synergy system yet, you can get this sort of like the entry point to the Synergy system, which is the Syn 1 module. They also have a rack mount 2-unit module, as well as a 2-unit 50-watt head. And as of this past week, the Soldano guys on their Facebook group, they teased a picture of what looks like a 1-unit module lunchbox head. And they didn't give any other details, but if that thing has an internal reactive load and impulse response loader, sort of like what they put in the X88R preamp, I think that's going to be a very cool little unit, especially for those of us who like to gig DI going straight to the PA. All right, that is going to wrap this video up. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.